2 games. That's all it took for Lionel Messi to rewrite a record book that took 90 years to build. Records that survived 2 World Cups hosted under fascist regimes. Records that survived Pelé. Maradona survived. That survived Ronaldo, both of them. Records that 3 generations of football fans agreed were simply untouchable. Gone in 2 matches, at almost 39 years old. Here's the full story of what Messi just did at this World Cup record by record, moment by moment. And by the end of this list, you'll understand exactly why people are calling this the greatest individual run in the history of the tournament. If you're new here, subscribe now. Because this story is not finished, he's still out there playing. Let's start with the one the whole world was watching for. Miroslav Klose scored 16 World Cup goals. He set that record in 2014. For over a decade, people called it untouchable. A mark from a different era of football set by a striker built specifically to find space in a box and finish. Messi didn't just beat it. He matched it with a hat trick in his very first game of this tournament against Algeria, then walked straight past it 2 games later against Austria. 18 goals. Nobody, man or woman, has ever scored more at a World Cup. Not Marta, who held the all-time women's record at 17. Not Klose. Not anyone in either game's history. Messi didn't break that record, he left it behind. And he still has games left to play. Here's one that doesn't get the headlines, but it might be the most insane stat on this entire list. Messi has now spent more time on a World Cup pitch than any human being in history. Think about that sentence. Every player who has ever played this tournament, every legend, every World Cup winner, every name carved into the history books, and none of them spent more time out there than Messi has. This is a man who has now made 28 World Cup appearances. Nobody has played in more. Lothar Matthäus held that record for over 2 decades, with 25 appearances across 5 tournaments. Messi didn't just catch him. He passed him, then kept going. 6 different tournaments. 6 different versions of Argentina. And he's still out there right now, adding to it. Quick question before we go further: is the goal record or the minutes record more impressive to you? You have to pick one. Drop it below. Now here's where it stops being believable. In the opening match against Algeria, Messi scored a hat trick. He was 38 years and 357 days old. That made him the oldest player to ever score a World Cup hat trick. The previous record belonged to Cristiano Ronaldo at 33 years old. Messi broke that record by over 5 years. At an age when most players have already retired, switched to coaching, or become a pundit on a TV panel, Messi scored 3 goals in a World Cup match, and he wasn't done. Scoring against Austria did something that's only happened twice before, ever. Messi became the 3rd player in World Cup history to score in 6 consecutive tournaments he's appeared in. The only other 2? Just Fontaine back in 1958. Jairzinho back in 1970. 6 different decades of football, practically. 6 different eras of the sport. Players retired in between. Managers came and went. Entire generations of teammates rose and faded around him. And in every single one of those tournaments, Messi found a way to put the ball in the net. This isn't a hot streak. This is 2 decades of never stopping. This is the one that should stop you in your tracks. Messi has scored 12 World Cup goals since turning 35 years old. That is more World Cup goals after 35 than Harry Kane, Cristiano Ronaldo, Diego Maradona, Rivaldo, Neymar, and Thierry Henry scored across their entire World Cup careers. Each one of those names won, or nearly won, a World Cup. Each one is considered one of the greatest of all time, in their own right. Not after they turned 35. Their whole careers. From their first World Cup goal to their very last. Messi, in what should be the slow, fading part of his story, has quietly outscored some of the greatest players who ever lived, using only the goals most players spend their 30s losing, not gaining. That deserves a comment. Which legend on that list shocked you the most when you heard Messi had already passed their entire career total? And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. Because what's coming is even bigger. Here's the detail that makes this whole story feel written, not just played. 18 goals. 18 individual match wins is also a new World Cup record, passing Klose's old mark of 17 wins. 18 and 18, the exact same number on 2 completely different records, both broken in the exact same tournament in the exact same week. Nobody planned that symmetry. Nobody could have. That's just what happens when one player has been this good for this long across 6 different World Cups spanning 2 decades of the sport. It's the kind of detail that sounds made up, the kind of thing a screenwriter would cut from a script for being too neat, too convenient, too perfect to be real. Except this one actually happened. On a football pitch, in front of 70,000 people. Every penalty Argentina has taken in regulation, going back to Messi's World Cup debut in 2006, has been taken by Messi. Nobody else on that roster has been trusted with one since 2002. When Messi scores in a World Cup match, Argentina has lost exactly once. One loss. Across his entire career. That single defeat came against Saudi Arabia in 2022, a result so shocking it's still talked about today, 4 years later, as one of the great upsets in the sport's history. 18 goals, 28 appearances, more minutes on the pitch than anyone who has ever played this tournament. Records spanning 6 World Cups and 2 decades of football. And here's the part that should genuinely scare every other team left in this tournament. He's not finished. Argentina still has a group game against Jordan. Then the knockout rounds begin. Every record on this list was set before Messi has even reached the part of the tournament where legends are usually made. This list isn't a summary. It's a countdown to whatever comes next. So 18 goals or the 38-year-old hat trick? You have to pick one. No, both. Tell me which record is the most impossible and tell me why in the comments. And if you've made it this far without subscribing, understand what that means. This story is still being written. Live, in real time. Every group game, every knockout match, every penalty he steps up to take from. Now until July 19th has a chance to add another line to this list. Hit subscribe now, because we are covering every single record Messi breaks for the rest of this World Cup. The moment it happens, not after, not the next day. The moment it happens.